Okay, great. So let me just check. I think the SMS should go through now as well. Let me just put on the intro slide just to make sure the sound is coming through on, and the visuals is coming through on YouTube. Okay, let's quickly have a look. Okay, perfect. This is the one. Something I just didn't see was sound. Where's the sound option? Ah, it's hidden down there now. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, great stuff. All right, good evening, everyone. Hope you guys are well. Thank you for coming back for today's lesson. It's lesson number 5. And yep, it's good to see everyone is coming back. I'm sure they'll continue to join as we continue, as we go on. So guys, look out for the SMS email that is coming up soon with regards to the 2 different committees that we'll be having and which one you'll decide to join. And then, of course, we will be giving you some documents and, of course, the country as well that you're going to be representing. So, yes, I'm going to hand over to Kashyap. So, guys, we will be sending out this over the weekend. So keep an eye open for the email, the SMSs, so that you can start looking into the committees. And then once you've decided that, by next week, you will be getting your country that you'll represent. So it's very important to ask questions to Kashyap, understand what's going to be expected from you, because remember, this is part of the summit where you are going to practically apply everything that you've learned. So I'm going to hand over to Kashyap for lesson number 5. Over to you, Kashyap.
Thank you, David, and hello, everyone. It's such a pleasure to reconnect. Uh, Today, we will be focusing on, I think now that you're getting your countries, today we have a really fascinating kind of a session where we will be focusing on how does this debate translate into solutions? Now, how do we write these solutions and how do they then become, how do they take the shape of a resolution? So that is going to be our focus area. Now, um let us start discussing. Um, so let's go to the next slide, please, David. Yes, so what are we really trying to look at is today we are trying to understand how this process of resolution works. So we will understand the various stages that are involved in drafting and then debating and passing a UN resolution. And how do we do that in an MUN framework? We will look at how do we consolidate our solutions into working papers, and we'll talk about what these working papers, the phrase also means. We will master the formats for the resolutions today, and with the format, we will look at how do we phrase something which is a simple solution and yet in a legal language. So we will be learning all of that. And then we will look at how the discussion takes place on these issues. So this is what the focus area for our session is today. So please ask all the questions that you would like to. And once again, if you, I mean, this should ideally now go without saying that I always encourage you to ask everything, share your perspectives, and also use the emoticons, the reactions to keep putting your opinion forward on things. So now let's start our discussion. So if we can please go to the next slide. Yes. So far we have been discussing how the debate takes place in an MUN, what happens, and if you recall from the first set of sessions, we had discussed that in terms of the flow of the debate. So how is the debate moving? We have the roll call, which is the attendance. We talked about this. We talked about adopting the agenda. Then we talked about how the debate takes place through the speakers list and how these different caucuses take place. So now, from the flow of debate aspect, all these stages have already been covered. And after this, once the solutions are coming forward, this is where we are, and this is where the resolution process, as we call it, it starts. Now, this is happening in the debate, but what is happening in the larger committee, the outcomes of this debate are that as countries, you now understand who is your friend with regards to this agenda, which allies of yours are advocating for the same solutions. So that leads to formation of blocks. Blocks are those alliances of countries which are, proposing a certain set of solutions in a certain way. So say that if you are discussing climate change and AI, then some countries will say that AI adversely affects climate change. Some set of countries will say that AI has a lot of potential to resolve climate change issues, and these two can be very different positions. So the block one is with one position and block two is with the other position, and then block one will have a certain set of countries. Now, who chooses to join these blocks and who chooses to create these blocks? What do you think? Anyone? You can put it on the chat. Who decides what block should be formed and who decides what block should be joined? Anybody who, what do you think? Okay, so these, yes, Nobantu, thank you so much. I think this is exactly what it means that the participants who agree on a specific position. So this means that you, as a representative of a country, can take the initiative and the leadership to propose a certain block to be created, and everyone is free to join whichever block they want to. So ultimately, these decisions are solely with you. And what is the consideration? What do we keep in mind is uh, our interests, our national interests, and that how that policy and the set of allies are whether they are aligned with you or not. So this is the first thing that is the outcome of this debate, and before the draft resolution, the resolution process, these blocks are already formed. Those people who take this initiative and lead the block formation, all of these things are also the ones who are marked very favorably by the judges because they have taken the leadership in the advocacy of certain solutions. Now, the second thing that has already happened is that through these moderated caucuses, through these discussions and debate, we would have had a very concrete analysis on every aspect of the agenda or every subtopic that may be important to the agenda. So this means that now you know that if the agenda is about, say, technology, green technology, and climate change, so you will know what your country's perspective is about the green technologies, the finances, the logistics, the transitions. So all the important sub-themes of the agenda are already discussed so far. And uh, this concrete analysis helps committee understand what are the options available on the table. Thank you so much for your question, Thomfo. Uh, there is no minimum or maximum number of blocks that are allowed. It is solely up to the delegates and countries to organize themselves into as many different positions. But please remember, please do take note that ultimately any resolution that has to be adopted will need at least 50% majority. So smaller blocks are usually not very influential. Uh, they become influential only when there are, tie-breaking kind of positions, and that small number of countries in a block is able to influence the direction of the committee. Otherwise, uh, that is why larger blocks tend to be more influential. Now, the question is here by Naima. So offense, defense, and neutral. I mean, that would be a very, I would say, simple way to put it, because many agendas don't have offense and defense. Many agendas simply have different kinds of solutions. So, for instance, somebody's solution for Middle East situation can be a peace dialogue. Somebody else's can be a UN enforced peace. Somebody's can be whoever wins the war, like that's okay. So it's not so much about neutrality or offensive or defensive with regards to the agenda. It's simply a set of solutions and the actions that are associated. The the alignment of that is what leads to the block formation. So I hope that that is, I mean, you're clear on what is this criteria and what are the different positions blocks can take. And as we move along, you will see like how, in a very tangible way as well, what happens. Now, the third thing that happens is that A, we know who will be our partners in this block, but B, we also have a very concrete final position of the block. So we know that this is the final position the block is negotiating, and this is the set of solutions, one particular set that they are interested to advocate. And once this position is finalized, and a block really understands their position consolidated in a consolidated position, they are able to start developing a kind of a preliminary idea of what the solution should look like based on the thinking of the block. So I hope that you understand the difference between the final position and the solution. The final position is the ideological political position they have taken on the agenda, and the solution is the resulting solutions that reflect that ideology. So that is the differentiation that I am discussing here between final position and the solution. So I hope that this slide and everything that is on it is clear to us. And so this is what happens so far before this resolution process takes place. This means that by now you would have given at least 6 to 7 different speeches in different moderated caucuses. You may have given your general speakers list speech as well. So all that would have already taken place, and informal discussions would have happened between people. And this is where now we will move towards the solutions part of it. I hope that that is clear to everyone. So if you can give me a reaction, so I know that we are all on the same page as we move forward. If anyone has any questions, you can please put them in the chat as well. All right. So now we are going to this resolution process. What you see on the slide right now is the different stages of this process. Um, so first we will look at the overview and then we will look at each stage. So if you see, there are two concrete words here. One is working paper and the other is draft resolution. So a working paper and a draft resolution. So think of, okay, so let me just, Thomfo, let me discuss this stages. And as I go along, I will keep giving examples of now how will this block, what will this block look like and what kind of solutions can it propose. So your question will be addressed as we kind of move along on the stages. So working paper is a very, very preliminary document where people simply write solutions. So that is a very important document because your solutions are being written there. Doesn't have a lot of very strict format, doesn't have much formality. It is a very practical document. It is a very practical document that is made by the the block members just to document their solution. Now, as against that, a draft resolution is an extremely formal document. This draft resolution document um, is um, is the final draft in a way on which the voting and the debate takes place. So there's a certain fixed format for it. And now when we look at the stages, you will see that first there is a working paper stage. Once that working paper is concretized, it is converted into the draft resolution. So that is the authoring of the draft resolution stage. Once this draft resolution is authored, it is submitted to the judges, to the chairperson, executive board, and then they basically give feedback and review the draft resolution. If there are any changes that are required, on the draft resolution, the authors will make those changes and then they submit the final copy of the draft. So once this final copy is submitted and accepted by the chairperson, that is when now this draft can be introduced to the entire committee. So entire committee meaning that this draft will finally be circulated with every member. It will also be read out and then then the questions on the draft resolution are asked. So if anyone has any clarifications they want to seek. And once they have understood the draft fully, is that when the debate on the draft resolution takes place. So this debate will, you will criticize, analyze, suggest alternatives and so on. And once all that process is done, the draft resolution is debated. And then any changes that finally any member wants to propose formally, that is done through what we call as the amendment process. So submission, debate, and voting on the amendments. So, and then once this is done, you go into voting on the draft resolution. So these are the different stages in which the simple solutions that we have, and none of those solutions are actually simple, but the solutions which we have finally take on the language of the UN drafts. And we will learn all of it today. So I hope that you are very clear on generally the broad stages. You don't have to remember them. When we start doing these stages in detail, you will see that they very naturally flow into one another. So you don't have to really kind of remember the order and all of these things. This slide is more to help you understand exactly how does the resolution process actually unfold. So now let us go to the next slide, please, David. Okay. So now, uh, now what is a working paper? As we were discussing that the working paper is the first step towards, putting all your solutions in one place as a block. Um, a working paper can be written by one country also. It can be written by multiple countries also. And it can be adopted by a formal block as well. So you have to remember that working paper that way is a very broad document that can be used by multiple people at any point in time. How it actually looks like is on top of it, we write the term working paper and then we write the name of our committee. So if we are in the UN General Assembly, then we put that. If we are in the African Union, we put that. And you simply write your committee name. Then you write the name of the authors. So whether it's a singular author or multiple authors, so you will write it here like India, comma, South Africa, comma, USA, and so on. And finally, you will write the solutions in a point format, very simple English language. These solutions are written. So this is how a working paper is written. And if a block is writing that working paper, then the name of all those authors, the name of all those countries will go in the authors section. So that is how a working paper is written. Next slide, please. Okay, so how about we do this? David, I will put you on the spot once, and I request you to open the UN website on a window and share the screen with us. Thank you, David.
My pleasure, Keshav. Just take note, I'm in a hotel, so I've only got my one screen, the laptop screen. I don't have the dual screen with me, unfortunately. But let me quickly get them on there. It's un.org, is that correct?
Yes, yes, yes. So
Okay,
now this is also a demonstration for you to see how do we find UN resolutions. So we go to, we open the website of the UN. Now we go to the About Us place, the first option. Now here we go to the main bodies, the third option here. The main bodies, the third option here. It is About Us, Member States, and then main bodies. So when we go to the main bodies, you will see, can we open the UN General, David, on the right column? There is yeah, you can open the Security Council. I think Security Council, let's go there. So we have here decision, meetings and documents. You see the fifth option here. Okay, and outcomes and decisions and outcomes, please. The fourth option. Yes, so here we have the resolutions. Do you see? I hope you're able to see the first option is the resolutions. Okay, so now you see everyone that the resolutions are classified by the year. So you already have all of these. So let's look at the most recent ones that the UN has passed. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, let's do peace and security in Africa, the first one itself. This is the most recent UNSC resolution that we see on the website also. So this is how we, David, can we just, okay, yeah, can you just zoom into the resolution text? All right, so I hope everyone that you saw how we actually found a UN resolution, and this is how you can also try it out. Okay. So now I hope everyone you're able to see the screen. Thank you. This is fantastic. So now see everyone. Now let's first look at the top corner of this draft resolution. It says S/RES/27989 and then in bracket 2025. So what this means is that S signifies the Security Council. So if it is a say UNGA resolution, then S will not be here. So the moment you see S, you will be able to see that it's a Security Council resolution. RES obviously means resolution. Now after that, the 4-digit number we have 2789. So like you don't read it as 2789, you read it as 2789. And this is the resolution number. And then you have 2025, that is the year. So all UN resolutions are indexed and quoted just like that. It is called as the UNSC, that is the UN Security Council. So UNSC resolution 2789, and we use the word of. So UNSC resolution 2789 of 2025. So this, I hope that you are clear on how this resolution is indexed and numbered. Then you see the date of the meeting, which is 29 July 2025. So this is adopted on that particular day. And then on the other corner, you see the UN logo. It says the United Nations Security Council. So this is the name of the committee. And as you recall previously with the working paper also, we always start with on top with the name of the committee. So I hope if you can give me a thumbs up, at least like I know that you have followed it till here. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Tosca, for being prompt. Now, this section so far is called as the heading of the draft resolution. So this is called as the heading, and I think this is quite obvious as to why this is called the heading of the draft. After that, can we please scroll down a little bit? Yeah. Now you see this really interesting section which says that the Security Council, recalling its resolution 2745 of 2024, reaffirming its strong commitment to sovereignty, independence, unity, and territorial integrity of CAR, and recalling the importance of principles of non-interference, good neighborliness, and regional cooperation. Determining that armed groups operating in CAR constitute a threat of international peace and security in the region. Then it says acting under Chapter 7 of the Charter of the United Nations. And then it gives 2 points, decides to extend until XYZ ABC, whatever they've written. And then it says decides to remain actively seized of the matter. So these are the points that we see. So David, can we open this? Can you click on this 2045 once? The Okay, so there's a very good question. Are they indexed across? They are indexed as per committees because different committees have different members. Security Council has 15 people and GA has 193. So GA actually, I think it does not start with G, it starts with A for assembly. And you will also see that Human Rights Council resolutions are also then kind of further endorsed um, by the General Assembly. So sometimes you will see UNHRC resolutions also starting with A. And the second thing is that the continuity of resolution numbers, yes, it exists. So the resolution numbers are yeah, there will be a Security Council Resolution 1 of 1945-46 as well. So the previous draft that we were looking at, now you can easily see very clearly the heading. And now can we please just scroll down a little bit? Yeah, okay. So this is, David has already marked where are we starting from. And now I want to start with you on the actual content of the draft. So now CAR is what is CAR? What are they referring to? Anyone knows? They are referring to the Central African Republic. So I hope that we know what country we are talking about. It's the Central African Republic that is being talked about. And yeah, Central African Republic. So thank you so much. So now Central African Republic has a certain set of conflicts going on internally. And because of that, there is a lot of violence. And that is the problem that the UN is trying to address here through this draft resolution. So now, as you see that the Security Council, it starts with the Security Council, comma. So then now I want you to notice something. I want you to notice something about this language and the structure here. So the first phrase of every paragraph is starting with a continuous tense like reaffirming, highlighting, expressing, condemning. So you see how they are all ing, and then they are all ending with a comma. So you see regional cooperation ends with a comma, then CAR ends with a comma, international law ends with a comma. I mean, do you see any full stops here? I don't see any full stops so far here. So this particular part of the draft, and can we go down a little more? So you will see this trend continuing right till a fair bit. Yes, so you see this. Now, this ends until this acting under Chapter 7 of the Charter of the United Nations. So the whole section till here is what we call as the preamble to the draft resolution. Okay, so this is called as the preamble to the draft resolution. Preamble is always written in a paragraph form. So paragraph form means that this ends with a comma. There is no numbering, and each of them is a complete paragraph in itself. So that is the paragraph form. So when we are referring to any of these pointers, we are saying paragraph 1 or 2 or 3. Now each of these paragraphs in this whole document, they are called as clauses. So each point that is written, each clause that is written in the preamble is called as a preambulatory clause. I've just put all of this in the chat for all of you. So this means that when we say determining that armed groups operating in the Central African Republic constitute a threat to international peace and security, that is one preambulatory clause. Then acting under the chapter 7 of the Charter of the UN is another preambulatory clause. Taking note of the Secretary General's letter dated 15th May. So this is another preambulatory clause. So I hope that is clear to everyone. The underlined section, which is the action, the verb, which is taking note, further taking note, determining, acting, these are called as phrases. So because these phrases are mentioned in the preamble, they are called as preambulatory phrases. Okay, so this is so they are called as preambulatory phrases, and similarly, you will see that the next section is numbered. Everything is in present, simple present tense. So decides, all of it, you see decides, and then you see that these are ending with semicolons. This section is called as the operative section of the draft, because this is where the real solutions go. And similarly, the clauses will be called as operative clauses. So each solution that you have has to be written in the form of an operative clause, and each operative clause will always start with the operative phrase. So I hope that uh, when we go till the very end, there will be the last operative clause is ended as concluded with a full stop. Till then, you will see everywhere there is only semicolons which are there, and at the very end you will see a full stop, the only one in this entire document. Yes, decides to remain actively seized of the matter. Now, before we go any further, let me just shed some quick light on this last operative clause 13. When we say decides to remain actively seized of the matter, it means that we have passed this resolution, but we are not abandoning this issue. The UN will continue to monitor this issue. Now, what you have to know is that only Security Council has the power to write this operative clause. The UN General Assembly cannot write this operative clause. The Economic and Social Council cannot write this operative clause. Only the Security Council can write it. And you can open any resolution of the UN and you can see these trends that I'm talking about. So now let us please, David, go back to the page 1 of this draft. Let's scroll up to the first page, please. Yeah. Okay. So now we have come back to the previous like 2789. It's a shorter draft, so you will be able to see it in its fullness. So if we scroll down now, we can just see these two sections in a way together. Yeah. So you can now very clearly and very easily see that uh, the differentiation between operative clauses and the preambulatory clauses. The commas, the numberings, the simple present tense, all of this is the format of a draft resolution. You write it at Harvard University, you write it in a school in South Africa, anywhere in the world, this is the format of a UN draft. And you can try to even like put it down yourself and yeah, so that is how the draft resolution looks like. Now, let us, David, can you just scroll up a little bit? Yes, thank you so much. So now let us look at this draft resolution's content. After the heading, when we come to the first preambulatory clause, it says recalling its resolution 2745 of 2024. So first thing you have to understand is how you are reading this draft is the Security Council recalling its resolution 2745, the Security Council reaffirming its strong commitment, then the Security Council, uh, and so on. So if you see how this entire statement will make sense to you is when you take the word the Security Council and when you add it in front of every operative and preambulatory clause. So the lesson to be learned here is that the continuous tense recalling means that it's a continuing context, that they are trying to address all of this with a continual context. It is not a context in isolation. It is a context that is the agenda. So I hope that you understand. And when we go down to the operative section, now this will logically make sense to you that the Security Council is a singular identity, a singular entity. So the Security Council decides to extend until 31st July 2026 the measures set out or extended in paragraph 2 and 4 of Resolution 2745. Similarly, the Security Council decides to remain actively seized of the matter. So I hope to begin with, you have understood what is this logic of the language that is being used while writing this draft. If you have, if you could please give me a reaction, it will be very helpful. Okay, thank you. I know that there was a question earlier posed, and that is that what is the role of the UN in an ongoing connection in different corners of the world? Did this resolution get implemented? Yes, I mean, this resolution has been definitely implemented. I mean, they have started the process because it has been only 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I mean, uh, actually a month that this resolution was adopted. So I'm sure that now implementation processes are probably in process. Yeah. And then what is the connection of UN? Connection of the UN to all these different issues is that if a country brings forward their issue to the Security Council, then they can definitely look into it. And if they decide to take, recognition or cognizance, or they bet themselves without a country bringing any issue to the UN, so the UN can do that as well, the member states. So that is, I hope that that answers your question. So now we are going to understand the preamble first. So what the preamble is saying is that the Security Council is firstly recalling its resolution 2745. This means that everything that was said in this resolution 2745 serves as the foundation to this draft. This means that some things would have been said, instructed with regards to 2745. They have clearly not succeeded in any way. So now they're saying additional to this, we are now doing this. So this is what it means when they say that the Security Council recalling its resolution 2745. This means that whenever you see any draft resolution, like if we are studying the current one, then you can't make sense of this draft resolution until you know 2745. And then 2745 will also point towards other draft resolutions. So this means as a part of your research, you have to be able to look at all these drafts, and if there is some existing resolutions of the UN which you need to quote in your future resolutions, then you need to also put this clause like this. So I hope that that is, I mean, you're all following that. The second clause they have written is that the Security Council, reaffirming its strong commitment to the sovereignty, independence, unity, and territorial integrity of CAR, recalling the importance of principles of non-interference, good neighborliness, and regional cooperation. So, I want you to tell me, is this a solution? What they have written here, reaffirming the strong commitment. Is this a solution? Anyone? Yes or no? You can even use the react button. Do you think that these two things that they have written, is this the solution? No, this is not the solution. Very good. Great. This is not the solution. This is fairly only the context. This is only the background in which with which the UN draft is being written out. So I hope that that is clear. But to write the next set of solutions that they have written, writing this is very important in the preambulatory section, because what you are saying is that whatever solutions we are implementing, the objective is to reaffirm the commitment to sovereignty, independence, and unity. So, in a way, you're writing the background, the objective, the introduction of the entire draft resolution in the preamble. The next is determining that the armed groups operating in CAR constitute a threat to international peace and security in the region. So, what do you understand of this clause? Anyone who can put it on the chat, like what it means to you when you read this third preambulatory clause? Anyone who'd like to try, you can put it in the chat. I'll give you 30 seconds. Yes, I'm saying that when we say the third preambulatory clause, it says determining that armed groups operating in CAR constitute a threat to international peace and security in the region. This is so okay. So Moyo is saying that it is an assessment of the current situation. Precious has said that they are probably talking about a terrorist group. Okay, anyone else? Thank you so much, both of you, for your opinions. Anyone else who also has any other opinions? Okay, so now this is where I want you to understand the the meaning and the politics behind the words. I want you to now understand how strategically they have just absolutely invoked international law in total plain sight. So, first thing, they have written the phrase armed groups. Armed groups may or may not be terrorist organizations. Armed groups may be some armed forces. They may be a non-terrorist organization, a non-state actor with arms. So they have essentially swept all the armed groups in that region because ultimately they will probably ask all the armed groups to stop fighting. So this is done with a very strategic long-term vision where they have written armed groups operating in CAR. They have not written terrorist organizations. They have not written private military, state military. They have simply referred to it as them as armed groups. Now, now I will show you something that will kind of hopefully blow your mind. David, can we just go to this main bodies UN page that you had opened on your tab? Yes, the main body tab, the other one, the previous one. I mean, it's the one, two, three. It's the fourth tab, David. Yes. So now, if we scroll up, everyone, and see the magic and the mind-blowing thing that I'm trying to tell you. If we go further up, David, if you can please scroll up, and we go to the UN Charter. It's the UN Charter is next to the flag, emblem and flag. Yeah. And now we go to chapter 7. On the left side, you see all the chapters are indexed. So chapter 7. Yes. So do you see how it says the phrase threat to peace and on top in the chapter name? Yeah. It says threat to peace, breach of peace and act of aggression. So Article 39 of the Charter says that the Security Council shall determine the existence of any threat to peace, comma, breach of peace or act of aggression, and then shall make recommendations accordingly. Uh, and then it says to maintain or restore international peace and security. So you see the Article 39 text, it very strategically uses the word threat to peace, and then at the end it says restore international peace and security. Um, are you able to see, are you able to understand this? Like the Article 39 and note the language and the phrasing. Okay. Now, David, we may have to do a little bit of back and forth with that draft. So you may have to now go back to that same draft while letting this file be. That may, yes. Now let us read it again. it says determining that the armed groups operating. We'll have to go slightly down, David. Yeah. Do you see now that the threat, yes, the threat, not the sentence doesn't justify, it invokes. So they have just invoked Chapter 7 of the UN Charter. Chapter 7 is where Security Council brings in the bad guys. They start interfering, they start bombing, they start imposing arms embargoes. So all the things that you expect the UN to intervene with is in the chapter 7 of the charter. So this one little line that you see which says uh, determining this as a threat to peace is a very strategic move, and anyone who understands international law will know immediately what is really going on. And someone who has not focused their research on understanding international law will probably read this in a very literal way. So I hope that you have understood that the whole story so far, now when you will read it again, the whole story was they are trying to uh, essentially build up to this final operative preambulatory clause, which says acting under the Chapter 7 of the United Nations. So the whole story so far about the objectives, about all of that, was just a story built for the grand, uh, conclusion or the climax, which is the Chapter 7 of the UN Charter. And this is how, David, if we can go to this 2745 resolution once. Yes. So, yes. Now, when we quickly now go through this draft very, very like on top level, do you see the same copy paste of the reaffirming the strong commitment? This first preambulatory phrase, they literally copied it and pasted it in the next draft. The first preambulatory clause is literally the same if you read as the other preambulatory clause in the next draft resolution. So what is the reason for this repetition? Because this is something that is very important to the framers, to the bloc, that the principles of non-interference, good neighborliness, and regional cooperation. You know what this also will mean, friends, is that it is not just CAR, it is probably another set of armed groups from outside CAR which are also interfering in the issue. Because if that wasn't the case, they wouldn't be talking about non-interference, global neighborliness, and regional cooperation. They wouldn't be talking about it. So now you have to learn to develop this ability to see the solution, and from that solution be able to understand what was probably the problem they were trying to address. So if even if right now you don't know the issue, you will know that it is something to do with cross-border issues. And then when you will read the preambulatory clause 4, you will already start seeing that now they are slowly and logically gently moving towards the cross-border criminal activities. So if you see that the preambulatory clause 4, they have already started talking about the cross-border criminal activities. The resolutions are linked into one another. Um, I don't know the Russian nesting dolls, but yes, they are absolutely linked to one another. They are built linearly one after the other, one on top of the other. So think of them as a steps in a staircase, rungs of ladder, where every resolution is built on top of each other, all of it built on the foundation of international law and the UN Charter. So, uh, So, and remember that this has to be that all of these the phrasings and the structuring of the preamble is also done in a certain way that initially they will put principles, they will put larger concepts, all of those kind of things, and then they will start going into the specifics of the issue. So general to specific is generally the trend of drafting these documents. So David, can we just scroll down a little bit? Just if we, yeah. So do you see how they are condemning the activities? They are expressing concern about the impact of the crisis. Now they're saying that this issue in CAR is also spilling over to Sudan. So they're also talking about the refugee situation about in Sudan within this. Um, now look at this next slide. Next one is a very interesting clause. It says taking note of the launch of the 10-year action plan. Now what this means is that the preamble is not about everything bad. The preamble also recognizes some good work that may have happened. Why are they recognizing this 10-year action plan and border management policy? Because in the operative section, you will probably see something that relates to this. So it's like you are building in this point with a future idea of building a operative clause around it. So the strategy is not just to look at preambles in themselves. The strategy is to look at the whole movement of operative and preamble in a way that it is supporting each other. So I think that we can also see the preambulatory clauses and the operative clauses together as the Russian nesting dolls, if I may use that phrase now. Um, so I hope that that is clear to everyone. Um, now, can we go down, please, on the same document? Yes. So now, see, stresses that the measures imposed by this resolution are not intended. Now, this is a very important part. See, they are also saying that we are also stressing that sometimes these resolutions uh, can have negative connotations. You know, I mean, on civilian population. So, for example, if you impose, say, if you freeze the accounts of a particular government which is waging a war, so it also means that now that particular government can't pay its own officials, and then if they decide to leave the administration, then there is only going to be a chaos in the country, and then people who actually are poor will not get, food and will not get basic civic amenities, whereas the actual leader of the country, essentially still probably has money, and the sanction doesn't really affect the country so much. I mean, doesn't really affect the leader so much as it affects the country because of the inflation and food shortages and the chaos that can be led to through a UN resolution. So, so you have to understand that the preamble is also used to provide certain, contexts, but also protections, and like it is setting the outside boundary of a draft resolution. So do not take preamble as a not very important part simply because it doesn't have solutions. The preamble is what puts solutions into context. So now my question is, if you are given a certain issue of, say, uh, promoting artificial intelligence to combat climate change, then what kind of things will go in the preamble? Can anyone think about them? Like, I'll repeat my question. If your agenda is talking about promoting artificial intelligence to combat climate change. So what kind of preamble will that draft have? You can try to put a very short sentence, and you don't have to put an elaborate preambulatory clause. I want to see whether you are able to think of it in that way or not. Reference to the Paris Agreement. Very, very nice. Absolutely. Reference to the Paris Agreement. It could also be reference to the Sustainable Development Goals of within specifically climate change. It will talk about poverty. It will probably talk about some UNESCO resolution on AI that has already been adopted by the UN. So remember that you can not only quote Security Council resolutions, you can also quote other committees' resolutions anywhere in any other committee as well. You will talk about the importance of uh, the importance of acting urgently on climate change. You will recognize the risk it puts on the vulnerable populations around the world. You will express concerns on the rising temperature. You will also probably express concerns on the amount of electricity being used by AI to further climate change. But you may also highlight that the AI is enabling faster innovation and solutions towards climate change. So I hope that that is clear to everyone. Now let us take one more example that you are trying to write a draft on uh, the need to um, the need to give children right to vote at the age of 15. So say that you are writing that children should get the right to vote at the age of 15. So what would that preamble look like? And this is such a brilliant clause that you have put. I hope Luazi has not helped you frame it and you have framed it yourself. It's a very good clause. So that's very well done. Recognizing that trustworthy human rights based artificial intelligence can accelerate climate mitigation and adaptation, enhance early warning, and optimize. It's the dashes which give away sometimes AI outputs also. Okay, you did not use it. Okay, wonderful then. But it's a very well drafted clause. So I hope that you now understand how the clauses are drafted. So now I hope some of you will respond to my next question, which was that children should be given a right to vote at the age of 15. If we are trying to argue that, then what will be our preamble? Anyone who'd like to try? And again, like how Nobantu wrote references to the Paris Agreement, you can also simply just write that. You don't have to write the actual clause also. Okay, so while you write those clauses in the chat, let me now go down and let us look at the operative section quickly. So David, if we can just scroll down to the operative part where the numbering starts. Yeah. Okay. Do you see how again they have invoked the chapter 7? And I will tell you the funniest thing of this draft and the previous draft is that if in any other forum or in any other language, if you see these words, you will find them absolutely wrong, illogical grammar and English phrasing, which says threat to international peace and security in the region. Because if it is region, then it is not international peace and security, it is regional peace and security. So I hope that you are able to see that here in the second last preambulatory clause, that they have written threat to international peace and security in the region. So this means that remember that they're not using the logical English language as you understand it. They are invoking international peace and security as the phrasing from the UN Charter itself. So the more you are able to ground your preambulatory clause language in international law, you are essentially invoking it. And David would agree with me that that is how AI is also programmed, that there are certain trigger words that can trigger certain protocols in AI algorithms as well. This is how your hashtags also work. So this is like imagine hashtag international peace and security, hashtag threat, hashtag chapter 7, and then all of a sudden uh, by then chapter 7 is already the chapter 7 protocol is activated, so it's not very different from actual like programming as well. Okay, so uh, Precious, thank you for your question on the chat. I am just writing, one of our friends has just given a very good um, a preambulatory clause. So we are trying to write the clauses which allow 15-year-olds to promote, to vote, to, like to give them the right to vote. So all of these are excellent points, by the way. Like both these clauses are fantastic. I think you've really understood how this is happening. And here now you can talk about the need to revisit the universal adult franchisee as a concept, the recognizing the technological advancements which enable young people to now be more informed than their previous generations. Emphasizing that young people are now leading, innovations and achievements in all domains. So why not democracy? So each of these kinds, you can invoke the UN Charter, you can invoke the Child Rights Conventions, you can invoke international law, and you are essentially creating the right background uh, through to invoke the right international law. Okay, so now let us, so this is the preamble, and now I hope you have understood what the preamble looks like and how we are drafting the preamble. My advice to you will be to just go to the UN website and read as many drafts. It will keep giving you a lot of clarity. Yes, so this is again another very good point that is made in the chat, that one can also make use of the phrase such as consistent with child's evolving capacities. Yes, and the right to be heard. Absolutely. You can also probably invoke the UN Declaration on the Universal Declaration on Human Rights. Now, if we go to the Google ones, um, David, can we go to Google? I know it's old technology, but let's do a Google search together. List of preambulatory phrases. Yes, do you see this already? So can we just yes, can we open this first list or any like in the images also you'll see these all these images are also coming. Okay, so a very quick Google search will be able to give you the entire repository of the phrasing that you can use in your draft resolutions. And they will be with regards to both preambulatory phrases as well as operative phrases. So do you see that all these words? So like you can use literally any of them. And can we go slightly like to the operative phrases now? Yes. Now here I want you to just understand one of these. Um, David, can we just go down a little bit, please? Yeah. So now see here, there are certain words such as urges, which is like at the very end, welcomes and urges. So urges is a phrase that UN loves to use a lot to request, and ask countries to do certain things. So urges is very important. If you see the second column and you see at the top demands, demands is something that only Security Council can do because it only they have a enforceable mandate. The rest of them can request, urge, but demands means uh, like strong action. Okay. Then you see this word condemns in the first column. So if you are condemning something and now something beyond condemns has happened, so then you will use the word deplore. So deplore is the second word here on the second column, second phrase. So you have to understand that even in these phrases, UN has a very specific hierarchy in which these phrases are taking place. So we can go back now, David, to our draft, the one that we were referring to. And we have also given these list, by the way, on our MOOC as well. So on the EdOff site also, these are all available to you. This was to show you that even a basic Google search will give you these phrases, but on our own MOOC platform, I've also included this part for all of you. So now you see how we have this decides. Again, decides is very Security Council signatures on it, that it's only Security Council can decide actual things. Then can we go down once? Yeah, they've just been deciding this whole page. One more page, please. Yeah, reaffirms. So reaffirms will always mean that something has been first or already adopted. So as you see that they are reaffirming the resolutions and they're calling them as paragraphs. So 2399 of 2018, 2399 again, 2693 of 2023, 2127 of 2013, 2664 of 2022. So this means in your research, if you were doing this issue, you would read all these draft resolutions and then create a kind of a timeline to understand what is the movement. Uh, Now, can we go down? So you see that in the operative clause 8, they could have easily written condemns, but they are writing strongly condemns, which means they are not very happy about the situation. So this is not, this is actual genuine frustration that the committee is expressing. And then you see urges, further urges in operative clause 10 and 11. And then again, they're saying decides to remain actively seized of the matter. So I hope that you have understood the larger language that, like the language protocol. Now we will close all of this and now we will. So I hope that you have first seen how this is what is really happening in the draft resolution, how the whole UN resolution looks like. So now, David, can we go back to our deck, please? Okay. So do you now understand the heading part? When we say heading, it says the committee name on top, and then it says the agenda name. We will discuss later what these sponsor signatories would mean, but I hope that the committee agenda is clear to you. Now sponsors and signatories. Sponsors are those core countries which have proposed this draft. So sponsors are those people who are leading a particular advocacy. And signatories are those people who are in a way supportive of that action. They may or may not vote on this in favor of this draft, but they are supporting the discussion of this draft in the committee. So that is the difference between sponsors and signatories, that sponsors are the authors of the draft. Signatories are those people who give their consent to discuss this draft in the committee. There are certain technical requirements as far as the number of signatories are concerned in a committee. In case you don't have at least 20% of the committee strength as sponsors and signatories in a committee, your draft resolution will not be accepted by the chairperson. The reason for this is that if you can't even organize 20% strength in your favor, then how will you possibly get your resolution passed? So this is why when you create blocks, sir, you have to have a bare minimum number of people in your block. And now from this, you can understand that India, US, France, UK, Australia, Canada, Japan, Sweden, Italy, and Denmark is entirely one block. There is another probably block that Russia, China, Brazil, South Africa, for instance, and I'm just giving random examples right now. They may have prepared, and that is what the second block will look like. So I hope that the heading is clear. Once the resolution is adopted and passed, the sponsors and signatories lists are removed from the names of the resolution, and only the committee name and agenda is retained. And that is why you see that in the UN resolutions we looked at, no country's name was written as a sponsor, because now it was from a proposal by a set of countries. After adoption, it becomes a central document of the committee itself. So I hope that that is clear to everyone. Next slide, please, David. Yes, so we have now already looked at the preamble, references to the UN Charter, acknowledgement of reports, recognition of efforts. We have already talked about literally all of this. So we will go to the next slide. Yes, so we have again already practiced how this will work, recognizing the importance of international cooperation in addressing global challenges. So you have already, I think, understood through, I see that on the chat also, that you have now understood how the preambulatory phrase is being written. Next slide. Yeah, so this is the larger structure and things that you can do. You can recall previous resolutions, you can recognize the importance of certain things, you can reaffirm the principles of the charter, you can take note of the reports, you can bear in mind international obligations, you can deeply be concerned by some things, you can emphasize the need of things, you can acknowledge the efforts, you can welcome the recent developments. So these are all different ways in which these phrases are used. Next slide. Operative. So now operative is where the solutions are. And I think the only thing that you now need to understand for now is how do we turn a solution into an operative clause. So let me give you one solution, which is that uh, universities should teach AI to all students. I'm just putting the solution in the chat. So imagine now, if this is the solution, universities should teach to all students, AI to all students, to help them think of AI-based solutions on climate change. So now I want you to think of how do we convert this into a uh, operative clause, the idea is that first you have to think that for universities to get activated, what is the preamble that is needed, right? So the preambulatory clause that will be needed is probably recognizing and appreciating the role of university in research on artificial intelligence and recognizing and emphasizing, say, the role of young people in finding AI-based solutions in climate change, taking note of the spirit of innovation and problem solving of the young people to involve them. So this is how you will first create a foundation for your operative clause very strategically in your in your preamble. And then you will see now who activates universities, the nation. So you will probably urge member states to provide funding to universities to teach AI to all students. You will probably recommend universities to look at curriculums. You will probably ask the governments to create policies which mandate the universities to teach AI. So remember that the action points of the countries and different sectors for the same solution can come through different stakeholders. So here it says urges Iran to allow inspection. So, so the format is very simple. The Security Council or the General Assembly urges who? Iran. So first you have to take the stakeholder into account. So say your structure is who, what, and what. So urges Iran to do what? So the stakeholder, their action, and by when and how. All these are things that you can take into account while structuring your clauses, and you have to put them in a logical order. So urges Iran. So here you are urges the member states to support universities to teach AI to all the students to help them think of AI-based solutions on climate change. Now, if you have urged the universities to think, then logically the solutions they give, you have to do something about them. So you will say establishes a, or urges or requests the member states to create incubators in the country to take to advance the solutions proposed by young people from universities and so on. So don't think of one operative clause, you have to think of a system of solutions together. I hope that is clear to everyone. So I want you to maybe write at least one operative clause that you can think of. Um, and uh, and I think that will give you some more confidence. In the meantime, can we go to the next slide, please, David? Yeah, so we have already kind of talked about this. So next, please. Yeah, so again, how do we use these operative phrases? So decides to do something, calls upon the member states to do something. The previous one, please. Yeah. Requests the Secretary General, encourages efforts, affirms its support, condemns, welcomes the adoption. So I hope that that is clear to all of you now. How are we using these phrases to essentially convert our solution to this language? Okay. Next slide, please now. Now, this is how a draft resolution looks like in its a sample. So this is a General Assembly resolution. Now, if I ask you, the first three lines that we look at are called as preambulatory clauses. They are written in paragraph form. They start with a continuous verb. They end with a comma. And then we see the operative clauses. This is where all the solutions go. Starts with the operative phrase, which is simple present tense, and ends with a semicolon. So this is what you need to practice now. And I think after this session now, once you get your countries, once you have written a speech, you should practice writing 2 or 3 operative and preambulatory clauses, which will essentially extract the solution and the formal outcome from that speech. So next slide, please. Yeah, so we've done now the draft is prepared and it is submitted. Now, how the introduction stage happens is once the chairperson accepts your draft, sponsors are called to simply read out the operative clauses, because ultimately what's the most important to the committee is the actions that are being proposed. So they are called and they simply read out operative clauses of their draft resolution. That is the introduction stage. Next slide, please. And then, I mean, they allow the questions and then they allow the questions on each clause. They allow the debate to happen, so each and every operative clause is scrutinized. Remember that the debate, questioning, amendments do not take place on the preamble at all. The debate is only on the operative clauses, and now the debate takes place exactly like the speakers list and the caucuses. So nothing changes in the debate format. The only thing that changes is the focus of the debate. Earlier it was on the agenda, now it is on the draft. Um, the question is, what do you mean when you get your countries? What I mean is that David had mentioned at the starting of the call, and David will repeat those instructions as well for all of you. So you will be allocated countries, and I will let David actually talk about it once I close my this thing, my own presentation. So next slide, please. Right.
Right. Oh, that's the last slide.
Okay. So we have so now I think for now maybe we can discuss the debate part in the next session. But I hope that in today's session you have, and if you can give me a thumbs up, I will ask you a certain set of questions. Will you be now able to deconstruct and understand a UN resolution? A thumbs up or any emoticon will be helpful. Okay, great. Will you be able to start envisioning for how a simple solution that is in your mind will be phrased in the operative clauses, the actions? You will be able to now incorporate stakeholder identification in this. You will be able to, look at like time-bound action plans through this format. Uh, will you be able to also now see through a little bit of politics on the phrasing, understand how strategically international law is being embedded into the draft resolutions, how they create a logical context and a continuity from previous draft resolutions as well? So those and finally, will you be able to draft some of these languages for these solutions? And remember that this is not something that you will get good at in one day. What you have to do is continuously read through different draft resolutions, and they are available on all the UN websites. And uh, yeah, so this is where I'd say that if you are able to simply now confidently start writing drafts, then that is what makes you uh, somebody beyond someone who is writing solutions, who's proposing solutions to somebody who's able to now put in formal documents in the consultations. So this makes you a very effective, not only a problem solver, but actually somebody who can engage with the formal forum. So with that, I will close my discussion. And David, if you can just help everyone understand what, when we say get their country, what the next steps are going to be like.
All right, thank you, Kashraf. Sorry, I see Teams was just a little bit slow to respond. So yes, thank you guys. Thanks, Kashraf, for the lesson. I think it really does help when we look at actual documents and you can actually see the structure and how they're formulated with the commas, the semicolons, the numbers. So I think that's really useful, students. So please do go have a look at the UN website and actually follow the steps that we did this evening. I think it will make quite a big difference. Load shedding in a minute. Oh no, that doesn't sound good. All right, so what's going to happen is we are going to share the committees with you guys so you can go do your research about which committee you would like to belong to. And there are two, the United Nations Economic and Social Council, and the other committee is the African Union. As we know, we're having the G20 later in this year in South Africa. So this is actually quite cool because now we can actually get a good idea of what's all going to be happening at the G20 in terms of how these policies and resolutions and how the function is going to work. So we're going to share it with you to give you some background about the two committees, and then you guys are going to simply select them. So it'll be like an MS Teams form. So you're just going to select the committee you want to join, right? Then by next week, early next week, we are then going to use AI to allocate you the country that you're going to need to do some research on. So based on the committee you've selected, that's your starting point. And then we're going to give you the committee, or at least the country. And then that country is what you're going to research on so that you've got fairly a good idea of what issues or challenges or suggestions are coming from those countries. And then you're going to do some homework. But then Kashraf and his team is going to give us a sort of a guide, which we're also going to share with you, that's going to then plot the direction of how everything is going to unfold. Because remember, guys, you're going to do some homework before we get to the actual summit where you are practically going to be in your committees. You're going to need to follow the whole process from the roll call to are you voting or not. So it's going to be really hands-on. And then you're going to be in your committees, you're going to negotiate, you're going to discuss, and then at the end of it, you're going to draft a resolution that must be accepted. And that resolution, one of your team leaders is going to then present at the summit itself so that the students, the viewers will actually get to see that this is what you guys have been working on. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I think we are going to keep unpacking it as we go through next week, because next week is the last two lessons. And then from there, we will have sort of sessions just to guide you guys, getting you ready for the actual summit itself. So hopefully, Kashraf, that sort of covers the main area of why we have different countries. Remember, guys, not really about the country you're representing. It's more about the process that you need to follow. So don't worry if you get like a country you don't really like. Yes, we will let AI actually select it for us. Okay, so it'll make it very fair for everyone. AI is going to simply select based on your committee, and then we can take it from there.
David, before you go,
yes.
Yeah, before you go, I wanted to just share with all of you. Yesterday, I was at a important India-Africa conference where I met one of my mentors and partners from South Africa. And now I'm carrying this with me in. So I just wanted to show you that this the South African flag is now on my bag, and I carry it with me everywhere. So I thought this, let me again show you. Yeah. So I just wanted to show it to all of you, and I hope that I'll probably get to see you all soon as well. So thank you once again, everyone.
All right, thanks, Kashraf, and thanks everyone for joining us. It's really appreciated. I hope you guys are enjoying this lessons, this journey, and we'll see you again Monday. I will send out the SMS again, but also look out for the email with regards, and the SMS for the committee, so you guys can start doing some research on the different committees that I spoke about. Have a wonderful evening and see you guys on Monday, same time, same place. Bye, everyone.